What's poppin', Mobs Gang? This is episode 2 of our game development journey to a fully developed game. In this episode we'll be creating a hotbar and also equipping items that can actually be used, as for example this gun right here that can actually be shot. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The first step I will be making the hotbar UI, which will look the same as the inventory one. But as for the slots, they'll be slightly bigger than the inventory ones, because when looking at your hotbar items in the game, it looks a bit nicer than if they were just the inventory slot size. Next, I'll add the rule that if the inventory is open, then the hotbar is closed and we can't interact with it. But if the inventory is closed, then the inverse applies, meaning that the hotbar is visible and interactable, but the inventory is not. If we actually now check the gameplay and press the tab button, we can see that they change and that everything is working. But if we were to pick up an item, we can actually see that in the hotbar it doesn't show up, and that's a problem right now, so we'll get it resolved right away. And to do that, I'll actually create a new script to manage all of the hotbar slots, and it will be pretty similar to the inventory item slot script, but basically all it's going to do is just going to display what's on the item slots from 0 to 4 or 1 to 5. So if we actually test it right now, let's pick up an item, and yeah, it's showing up correctly and all is fine. We can actually test it like swapping items and everything is working in order. Okay, without the hotbar slot script displaying information on the UI, it also should probably handle equipping the item. For example, if I click on it, then the item should be equipped, and so I have made this equipped item script, which is basically this. I will make it more sophisticated, but right now basically if I equip something and it is an item that actually exists, then I just place its item icon on the player. So yeah, this script is on this custom object on the player that has a sprite renderer. So when I basically just have an item, it's here, and I click it, yeah, it shows up in the player. Well, I'll later fix that to add an animation, or when the item is actually used, it shows up similarly to like the Terraria items, so something like that. But right now we just want to equip the item and maybe even use them. Also, without clicking on the item, it would probably be useful to open the item with a key, select the item with the key. So if we get input, get key down, and we need to know what key we get, so we'll have to use the key code. For example, alpha 1 is basically the 1 on the keyboard, and but since this hotbar slot script sits on multiple objects, one way of doing this would be just like having multiple, and then for example checking if we press 2 and then we do something, but if we press 1 we do nothing. But that's not really a good idea. What we could do is actually check that the key code alpha, for example alpha 1, responds to number 49, right? But if we go to alpha 2, it responds to number 50. So what we could do is have a custom integer. For example, let's call it key code, and in the awake we will do that key code is equal to this key code is equal to 49 plus my index, right? So if the index is 0, it is 49, and it is alpha 1. Yeah, so it's 49, so we just want to use this key code instead. Actually, it can't be int, it has to be a type of key code, and here we cast from an integer, which is 49, and my index. Yeah, my index is an integer, and we cast it to a key code, and then we just pass it in. So yeah, key code 49 is alpha 0 and alpha 0, sorry, alpha 1, and alpha 1 is the number 1. So let's actually test that. So we can look at the console. So we pick up the item, right? We can equip it like that, and we can also equip it like that. So, and in this instance, we actually equipped the item. So let's actually do it in this situation. So we will use the script equipped item and the function equip. Sorry, the void equip, and so we pass it in our item, my item, and my amount like that. So yeah, let's actually just fully test that right now. And if we do that, okay, let's pick some items up so we can test it better a bit. So we press 1, we equipped item per amount of 5, and we press 2, we equipped item per amount 1. Right now the items can't do anything interesting except hold information about something. But more importantly, all items can hold the same amount and type of information. So to make the system a bit more flexible, I'll actually right now delete the existing items, and as an example create a scriptable object that all pistol items will have, and I'll name it gun item. I also want to hold the information that the previous scriptable object, the item, had, so it will inherit from it. And additionally hold information like bullet damage, the gun sprite, bullet sprite, and what type of bullet, and later I'll actually add the animator and how long is the delay between shots. So altogether that each type of a pistol item knows what damage its bullet deals, what is the sprite of the gun and the bullet, what animation to play when we shoot the gun, how long each shot lasts. Similarly, for example, if I create a scriptable object for sword or melee items, they will hold information like slashing speed, deal damage, radius of the damage, and so on for each item. And if we were to create an item with this newly created script, we can actually compare that this gun item contains the same attributes as the default one and additional ones that we just have defined. With the script object part done, next up is creating a gun that functions. To do that, I created a prefab for the gun and a script for it. Basically, if the gun is equipped, it will be displayed on the player, similarly to the previous version, but it will always aim at the mouse, and if I left click it will instantiate another prefab, which is the bullet. And later I'll add functionality to the bullet, meaning that when it hits something it disappears, or if it hits an enemy it damages them. But right now I'm focusing on equipping the items, so the bullet just flies through everything and it will disappear after 5 seconds. So actually let's test functionality right now. Pick up the gun, equip it, and as you can see it follows the mouse and we can actually shoot it with the left click. I didn't film the process of making this, I'll actually show you right now what I have been making. I created another script that is basically the same as the gun item script, but this is going to be specifically for the pistols. You can see it's the same, it also inherits from the item scriptable object script, and it holds bullet damage, shooting delay, the gun image, bullet image. Also, it has a runtime animator controller that basically, if we take a look at it here, it references to this Glock controller, and if we open that right up, we have this situation here where we have this idle state of the gun when we don't shoot, and the shooting state of the gun. So basically, with this controller, we can create, with this setup, we can create a situation where if we shoot, then it's going to display this correct animation. So if we pick up the gun, we equip it, and we shoot, it shows the correct animation. Also, for the prefab, if we look at it here, it for the sprite it has this animator controller. Right now it has nothing, but when we instantiate it with, for example, this item, this correct controller, as I showed it previously, this Glock controller gets equipped. And to actually show what goes behind these videos in the terms of the art style, I'll include a clip made by the boss mobs himself, where you'll see various designs of multiple sprites for our game.